Hello, what is good, my fellow peasants? How you all doing? So forgive the dishevelled attire. I was not planning to record a video today. It's Friday and I'm taking the freedom that you guys have given me, and I love you all so much for it, to have one of those days I often find myself slipping into, and I hope you are too, where you kind of reassess what it is that you're getting fulfillment from day to day. What's bringing you joy? What's bringing you some modicum of happiness? Or no, because happiness is quite overrated. It's fleeting. It's here one minute, gone the next. I'd say I take ease and peace over it any day of the week, but it's often not that every day of the week, but it can be. And I feel like I'm slowly getting closer to it. And I love days like this. By the way, forgive the audio quality. It might be shockingly bad across the room. But I find myself on days like this, and the book I'm referencing here is the Upanishads, and this is what I'm going to use to piggyback off of why Pitioss, that hellish dungeon that spawned Chaos Pairs, is so much a metaphor for life. Where you going with this, my pairs? But this is why I love having these kind of days. I often start them with no intention to do any work. And yet, so often this is where all the motivation and the ideas and the perspective alignment that is so often needed when you're running these kind of channels, or just anything in life, anything that you're doing in your day-to-day life, you know, that you are trying to hammer away with, whether that's a relationship you're trying to figure out. Now, how often can a small healthy break from a relationship be the thing that rekindles your love for someone? And how often is it we've heard from people like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or any other genius minds, Isaac Newton. He was apparently sat underneath the tree reading a book when an apple came down. I think that story is bullshit, but the point being how often it's away from the place that the person is trying to make their cognitive breakthroughs. They do it in the most unlikely and unsimilar places where they actually never intended to. And this quality, this trait that I've been trying to bring into my own life, and just reading this Upanishads book here just now, it really just gave me, I feel kind of, I don't know where to sit. This is so strange for me. I'm usually behind my desk. How often it is that these lines we walk between happiness and what's making us feel fulfilled and what is absolutely throwing us into the darkness, into the pit of despair and hopelessness, or even not, I would say anything as strong as that, even into just bland neutrality. You know, when you just don't feel passionate about anything, but you're doing it because you feel you either have to, or everyone and everything around you is telling you that you need to, or there's just a load of little ego voices in your mind that tell you to push. And that darkness, that abyss, that edge, which is definitely a word I like to use for this, how it is so razor thin. And I was inspired by reading this because it described happiness as just that, a walk along a razor edge. I think it was even Jesus who said, the path to life is razor as a knife. Hold on a sec, let me just make sure I lost the page. But I don't think Jesus was an MC. He probably didn't write it like that. No, narrow is the way which leadeth unto life. And even when we go to the Carthage, which is a very ancient text, narrow as the edge of a razor is those who make their steps towards a new life. And that really got me thinking, how often is it we'd come up to platforms and plinths where they were narrow as hell, and a slip either side, and they often happened, which sent you plummeting into the darkness. I really lived quite a long time in that state. You know, one morning I could be top of the world, I could be skipping, the song in my heart and an ambitious glint in my eye, and then from just something stupid like a video not performing well, or a horrible comment from a person who I respected, or a thing happening with the house or the dogs or any number of things, and all of a sudden my mood would just switch like that. And how often have you guys been in that same state where I thought I had it, I thought I was balanced, I thought I was walking along that Pitioss plank with a modicum of control, I thought I had it, and I lost it in an instant. It happens so often. So what got me thinking is when I thought back to how I felt during this time when happiness felt just like that. A razor edge that I could slip off of at the click of a finger. It so made me think back to how sometimes the Pitioss planks, those horrible little channels, those little... I mean, this part here, you know, when it gets real intricate and you're just like, oh shit, I'm trying to keep my shit together, but, you know, and you're looking around you, and all you can see is darkness all around, and it just encroaches in on you, it just trips you out, and that's very much the world that we live in today. You can be in a state where when all you look around is the abyss, depression, people who don't give a shit, a lot of bad things. We've all been there, we've all thought it, I know you certainly have. And when I got up to those planks, even when you saw them coming, I distinctly recall the feeling of anxiety I would get. The feeling of anxiety and, oh God, I don't want to go any further. I don't want to go any further. I've just found solid ground here. I know what's coming up is going to be horrible and the chances are I'm going to fail. I just want to stay here. I want to stay here on dry, solid land. But of course, you know you can't. You know, eventually you're going to have to push forward. You're going to have to continue on through this dungeon. And that's the thing, you can sit there. And I've done that for years at times. Years at times in my life. Sat there on the plinth, not willing to go forward. Because all I can see is just a razor edge. I know I can see all the ways that this can go wrong and how I could fall off at any moment. And no, I don't have a confidence in myself because of how often I have slipped off at a moment's notice. So I kind of don't want to put myself in those situations. I don't have trust in my balance. And this is why Pitioss is so much like a life metaphor. So how do we progress? Goddamn overheating camera. How do we progress? I am by no means an expert, I'm still trying to figure it out. And this is what I really want to share this video, is how much more comfortable would Pitioss have felt? You know, because you can live your life in that feeling of anxiety, of constant worry that at any moment things could slip. How much better would it have felt if that dungeon had been just a bit kinder? Just a bit kinder. Imagine if the path through that pit had more solid foundations. If Noctis's shoes hadn't been such fucking flappy, elven-like, slippery buggers that they were. I don't know why I said elven. I assume elves would have very pointy feet. They were very pointed shoes, Noctis. Not suitable for what you were going to traverse in that place, sir. And how much easier would it have felt if all of those narrow razor edges that you could slip off had been sturdier planks, ones that you could really get your foot in. You know, you could have a jump, you could have a thing, you could have a turn and a twizzle, and you could actually enjoy the symbology that was happening in Pitioss throughout that, because there was a lot of it with the demon wall, with the chained up. We thought it was Eos, so I certainly did. Pit of Eos, it would have made a lot of sense. Turned out it was Arden's old girlfriend. Yeah, that was her. You know, if we weren't perpetually under the fear of falling at any moment, how much more would we have been able to have gazed around at things and in turn taken the meaning of them? Find the story underneath it all. The bit of joy and meaning and significance, and all these different things appearing into our reality. Life is no different. How often I missed the greater beauty in things, the greater meaning and significance, because I was so encroached by the darkness and so fixated on watching my next steps forward. I had no way to take a breather and see the more beautiful things that were going on around. Whoa! I'm taken in by everything. I'm actually able to see all the meaning that's going on around and actually be able to enjoy it. Now, this might seem very hippie to some of you, but some of you might be thinking, yeah, I need some more of that. How can I get more of that in my life, Pez? It's a lifelong effort, mate. That's what I'm finding, at least anyway. I really hope it's not that difficult for you, but what I can certainly say is you can make those planks thicker. You can make them wider, making that journey feel more secure to the point where you can enjoy things and you're not falling off. And now for me, that's come in many different forms. It's going to be individual to each of you. Some of you, it will be finding something really fulfilling in your work, pushing towards that dream or that holiday or that career that you've always been aspiring towards, or that relationship you've you've always wanted. But what I'd say is those things are so often the deceivers that make you think you're going to get a thicker plank, but they're often the ones that make you thinner. The metaphorical planks thinner. God damn, I wish I was thinner right now. I'm on a fast today as well, so my mind is scatty. But for me personally, things like meditation helped me loads with that. And that's a buzzword for some people, I know, but half the time it's not even meditation. Half the time it is days like this. It's just moments of introspection. It's moments of self-reflection, where I can actually look onto things now in a slightly distanced way. I'm able to observe my feelings and my thoughts, knowing that I'm not my feelings and my thoughts. That just because sometimes I will feel happy, or I'll feel sad, or I'll be disappointed, sometimes angry, still sometimes angry, of course, that doesn't have to then become the pit in which I fall into. I can see it and I can say, okay, that's how I'm feeling. And I don't have to give in to that entirely. Now I know that's easier said than done, but what I would throw out in this video is there is no quick fix to that. Because it requires discipline. It's a lifelong of discipline, and it's not the kind of self-torturous, no, why am I struggling with this word? Self-flagellation. I think that's it, nailed it. It doesn't have to feel like that. In fact, I often found that the more I pushed those kind of disciplinary, no nonsense, no negotiation with myself kind of mentalities, they were very good at getting me out of the funks. And you know, the same as Pitioss, when you get that no negotiation, I'm gonna go for it. And sometimes that's what you had to do. You had to just go for it. Remember those moments in Pitioss where you couldn't see what was up or down, and you didn't know that whether this jump was gonna land or you were just gonna fall completely into the darkness. It could feel horrible at times. So much that you didn't want, you second guessed every move that you did, sometimes to the point where you're frozen completely with fear. But what it showed you is that by jumping, even if you failed, it was remarkably forgiving. Sometimes, not always, sometimes you are set back a huge amount in your progress, and that can be despairing at times, and I know we've all felt that. Going through this dungeon, the more confident you were in being able to take a risk, a gamble, which is something I'm doing so much more now. I'm going for things that I've always had in the back of my mind, like moving abroad. Going for different kinds of channels, which I've always thought, videos. Oh, but will they like it? Will I lose subscribers? Will people not like me? Should I just stay leaning into Pez as he's been known and digested for the last 3 years? No, don't change the formula. What I found is by taking those jumps, I have been more rewarded. Just like when you land a goddamn jump you weren't sure was going to happen to Pitioss, it feels amazing. It feels amazing, and you grow in confidence. And I see it as training now. For example, if you want to get bigger at the gym, if you want to build your muscles up, mine have atrophied massively from the day. What did you have to do to get bigger muscles? You had to put resistance against it. If you wanted to increase your cardio, you couldn't do it by sitting there on your arse eating Twinkies. I don't know what Twinkies are, I've never had one. Apparently there's some delicious, high calorie, creamy, delectable, oh, it's making me feel sick thinking about it right now. I'm on a fast, so it feels very weird to me. That you Americans have. What was my point? Just thinking about Twinkies now. Fuck me, I'm hungry. Oh yes, you weren't going to get fitter by sitting doing that. You actually had to put resistance. You had to go up against resistance to get those results. And I would say your spirit, your soul, your life energy, who you are as a person, your creativity, whatever you want to name it, is no different. And that you can train it via whatever methods or means that you choose. And that training, I would implore to you guys, is the most important, powerful thing you can do. Because while it seems utterly pointless at first, the more you do it, you know, have this mindset that when something bad is coming up, you go, okay, right, this is my time to train. This is my time to train. Often in situations where if I'm engaged in a discussion that's not going agreeably, in the past I would have kicked and screamed and used my articulation to boot down the door and not got the result I wanted. Now there's something in me that kicks in that goes, this is another moment for me to step back, observe my thoughts, observe the other, go into the other person's point of view, and from that place act with more kindness, compassion and understanding. That eventually leads to me getting so often more the result that I wanted than when I used to try to force it. It's the same as doing this channel, same as doing these kind of videos, and it's the same as goddamn Pitioss. When you can get into that mindset, and yes, sometimes it will mean that you need to not win an argument. Ooh, that was a big breakthrough for me. That was a huge one. I don't have to try to win every single debate or sticking point or battle that's going on. That I can be self-assured and secure enough within myself to go, no, I can let that slide. And sometimes, you know, you will get that will mean forgiving some people. That will mean overlooking some really bad things that have happened and releasing them. That doesn't mean letting those people walk over you or your life, but it certainly means releasing whatever burden is on you for your own sake. A great saying is forgiveness of any kind is always self-forgiveness. I strongly believe in it, and it just takes off those burdens. And those are just a few of the ways that I've done it, that it's like my soul can feel there's now a plank beneath me as I'm trying to traverse the hellish plains of Pitioss. Now, because life can be dark and it can seem like that at times, and the point is that every time you train it, it will feel better. You will feel a sturdiness under your foot, and as you go on and you keep pushing through this journey, through this hardship, you know, walking the razor edge and then trying to make it feel more secure, as you get closer and closer, now falling and getting back up, falling and back up, your determination and resolve, your resilience will gradually, over a lifelong effort, it will build. It will build. And what was ultimately the goal in Pitioss, it was to get to the light. At the end of it, oh, I could feel the release. I could feel the tension release just now. Remember when you got to Pitioss and there was that solid plank between there and the light, and you can finally see that bug. You know, I've traversed harder than this. I've walked across harder than this. This is going to be a breeze. And you just walk into it. Across a obstacle, a potentially deadly terrain that if I'd have first encountered that in Pitioss, when I first got in there, I was all over the place. I didn't know what I was doing, and this is what it's like coming into life. You don't know what you're doing. No one's told us, no one's guiding you. It's all figuring shit out by ourselves. I don't know, maybe you've had some good parents or role models to show you, but so often I find we have to figure that out ourselves. And that plank that led me out of Pitioss, if that had been the first thing I'd encountered, probably would have fell off of it. I certainly, as a character, would go, oh, geez, okay, well, this is what this is about. Oh, bloody, just through my confusion, would have thrown myself off. Getting from that stage when you're constantly throwing yourself off and you don't feel in your soul that you have a sturdy footing, because you know it's when you don't feel confident about yourself. It's when you don't have any faith in your abilities to tackle what's coming up. And your mind might think it will, but this knows something different. And that's why I've encouraged to listen to this here, because this is what will tell you truly, without all the crazy noisy chatter and all the often little monkeys that will fib and tell you otherwise and keep you in a place of fear and not moving forward. So those are just a few ways that I made my plank sticker, and life definitely feels like a sturdier walk through Pitioss. I can take the symbology of things in more. I really just appreciate it, and I truly, even though I don't know you at all, I truly hope the same for you guys, because we're all in this together at the end of the day. I believe it, that's what I think, but there we go. That's why Pitioss is meant for life. Keep out!
Friends, I stand before you today, with little hope the words I speak shall reach beyond these walls, for slowly but surely the light fades from our world, and as it does, the shadows shall loom ever longer until